be a big difference maker in this matchup, Corey? Or do you think Arne's got the right idea with more Goldspan Dragons?
I personally kind of like the more Goldspan Dragon approach to it. The front side of Velki is so average at best that you really don't want to see it until like turn 10. But, you know, the games where Tybalt, you know, actually shows up, it's going to look very, very good because that late in the game, something like that way over the top effect is going to be excellent. But I would rather have Arne's build on this personally.
Yeah, these games, well, typically they tend to end rather quickly, but, you know, Sam Pardee and friends in the last round decided, no, that's not usually how they typically go. But we might see some fireworks in this one as we get things underway. Both players with Jaspera Sentinel down on the battlefield, along with a Magda being tapped for green mana, making a treasure and getting Edgewall Innkeeper down. So lovely start here from Huschenbeth.
You see the active use of emotes. I feel like if Canister is not in the building, it is probably a couple of friends that are emoting back and forth, and that's definitely the case here. These two tested together. They're good buds, and we're going to see some playful emotes being exchanged between the two.
Oh, for sure. Magda, Brazen Borrower, excuse me, Brazen Borrower, Brazen Outlaw getting dealt with, but here's the second one that Sam Rolph is going to have to deal with. And another Rimrock Knight adventure creature going to hit the battlefield too. Another Dwarf. Another card. Things are looking pretty good here as Sam Rolph fires off the oopsie.
Yeah, everything kind of went well for Arne there with losing Magda immediately, which you don't really want to happen, but when another one's on top, it is a legend, so you can't really complain about that as a stomp target.
No, you cannot. Essica's Chariot's going to hit the board here, and we're going to see the old Yorgo from Sam Rolph. A couple cats are going to hit the battlefield. Cat car will be there to jump in the way of any particularly large threats. And there's a Love-Struck Beast off the top for Arne. So another creature on board and a Love-Struck Beast to boot.
Yeah, a fantastic draw there. Just being able to draw another card off Edgewall Innkeeper. Well, getting another treasure here off Magda when we tap that Jaspera Sentinel. We're getting close to 5 treasures and unlocking either a Goldspan Dragon or an Embercleave.
Yeah, that's actually, could he do it in this turn? No, not yet.
Not quite yet, but yeah, the interaction that this team decided on with just playing a lot of Rimrock Knights, usually not a card that has been that heavily played, right? Like just because all these adventure creatures butting heads, it's not the best, but the interaction with Magda and Rimrock Knight is quite good, just making Magda even better.
Yeah, I mean, it's an excellent addition to the deck. It can pump up things for Embercleave. It gets a treasure off of the dragon. It becomes a 4/1 with Magda down, so it can jump in a cat car. You know, it's pretty darn good. And Raph Levy actually mentioned in chat that he doesn't like that it's called Gruul Adventures, and I'm with him on this one. This is Magda Gruul.
It really is. And Raph Levy, you know, kind of the pioneer as far as this deck, you know, really brought it to a lot of league weekends, even when people weren't really playing Gruul strategies, and made it look great, you know, like the Hall of Famer he is.
Oh, for sure. I love me some good old Gruul action, and Magda just makes this deck explode. Being able to go and fetch the Cadillac, being able to go and fetch the big old cleave, you're going to have a good time when Magda's on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And that does make these Velki Tybalt even better. Being able to crank out treasures like that where you can kind of turbo out Tybalt is really, really good.
We're going to see some cat car action here as Essica's Chariot goes vroom, creating yet another kitty cat.
Definitely makes this attack quite obvious because there's no real reason that you would want to get in there with the 1/1 when it just runs right into Love-Struck Beast. But this Cadillac making a copy of this cat right here allows you to get 4 mana to Embercleave, so you had to send in 1 more creature. A really cute play that could have been very punishing if there was, let's say, a Bone Crusher Giant on the end. So Sam Rolph getting a little frisky here.
Make him have it, right?
Exactly.
So decides not to kit up the Embercleave just yet. That's going to hang out. And instead is going to get another creature down on the battlefield here, keeping up that treasure. And it looks like we're going to go for the Bone Crusher Giant on the board ahead of the Love-Struck Beast.
Yeah, nice little test there. Sam was just saying, I dare you to block this Azeka's Chariot with your Love-Struck Beast. Then we would have saw the Ember Cleave, but just losing a 1-1 in that exchange, it is much more valuable to get a Bone Crusher down rather than the Ember Cleave just falling off Azeka's Chariot at end step. So nice use of resources there by Sam.
Oh, for sure. And here's one of the other differences in the decks. In Ranger class, just the one copy of.
It's kind of crazy with that card. Right when it got printed, these Gruul decks are like, I'm playing 4 of this. This card is unbelievable. I have so much extra mana. And then they're just like, oh yeah, Winota is going way over the top of me. I need to cut these cards. So just seeing one of the card is kind of, out of the ordinary in terms of how many there were when that card first got previewed.
Oh, I love this attack. I love this attack. 5 treasures online here. So this smells like Ember Cleave.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll face up cleave.
Yeah, only 1 blocker here, so, if not, why not? Let's go fetch me some big ol' smacky sticks. And give an Ember Cleave to Love-Struck Beast. Why not? Oh, would you like some Rimrock Knight Boulder Rush too? You would? Oh, sure. Well, here you go.
That's just lethal. Right there, 19 damage coming across. No big deal. What a way to take down game number 1 by Arne.
Easy peasy mac and cheesy for Arne Huschenbeth. Seems very comfortable with this Gruul deck. And one thing that's I quite enjoyed ahead of this was reading all of their game plan and preparation ahead of the tournament, who they prepared with, all that sort of thing. And the things that Arne said about expecting to win and how that negatively affected his performance. Like, it's just such a good mindset, getting yourself out of that. Never expect to win. Just take each game at a time as it is. And he's playing excellently so far. So hopefully that mindset sticks.
I'm a big fan of his streams. I've been watching him a lot. I'm a sub. I absolutely love watching him. I love his approach to the game. I think he's so talented. Actually, my pick to take down the event. I think he's so good at the game. He's one of the up-and-comers. Hard to say up-and-comer after he won the Strixhaven Championship, but up-and-comer in the sense of one of the greats. I think he's going to be one of the titans of this game if, he obviously keeps at it and stays focused.
So into game 2 we go. What changes were made in the sideboard? Valky gets kicked out of here. So it's now just a good old Gruul beat-em-up fest. I like it.
Yeah, won't be seeing the black side of any of these pathways now, just since it is a green or red deck. Yeah, and I also was, just graced with the absolute treat of these two letting me in on their testing team and watching their process of how they selected decks, how they were so willing to test against, their teammates by playing maybe the deck they're not going to play and stuff. It was really awesome to watch such teamwork be culminated together with these great decks they chose. And so far it's paying dividends. They're all doing great at 3-1.
Yeah, very talented players. It's almost like an unfair advantage to the rest of the field. It's like, look at us. We're the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I was going to go 3 musketeers, but then there's 4 of them, so that wouldn't work. But
Even better. Even better.
Yeah.
Nice recovery.
Thank you. I did my bestest. So Sam Rolph is in a pretty good position there, even more so when Magda was on the battlefield, but Arne finding that timely stomp, getting rid of that mana dork, as it were, in inverted commas. But pretty even Stevens at this point.
Yeah, a little bit of a mulligan there from Sam, but a pretty nice recovery here, being able to cast Ember Cleave here if there was a block, and if there wasn't a block, a Crowan War. Yeah, that was brutal.
Hello, good game. All right.
They're just treating this just as a test game session here, not a game for a world spot on the line. You gotta love it.
Oh man, what a story that would be if all 4 of the teammates locked up their spots in the World Championship.
Yeah, they may be from different locations, but they might have to, fly to each other's location and have a gathering after that kind of weekend. That's for sure.
Still ways to go, though, as they'll need 9 wins to secure their spots in the final day of competition. So plenty of action still to go today and tomorrow before we do determine our top 12. Arne, just contemplating what he wants to do with this turn, does have Bone Crusher Giants available to him to take care of the 1-1, stop the beast from attacking in. But the cheeky thing that I'm seeing is a Crowan War could just steal this 1-1, if that's the plan he goes for.
Yep, exactly. That would be a nice little play here. You have a Zika's Chariot, the Cadillac, available for you as well to be a little bit more mana efficient, but that's not really doing much against the Lovestruck Beast as far as trying to block it goes. So pretty rough spot here for Arne no matter what you do.
Eyeing out this kitty cat car quite fervently. Ultimately looks like he's going to go for the Shadow Skull smashing on the 1-drop. Oh, this is bad news. Bears for Sam. Excuse me, for Arne. Sam just sees exactly what we saw, Corey, and is like, oh, I'll take that from you. With a nice one, Arne.
Impressive.
Oh, goodness me. Yeah, so I'm stuck between a bit of a rock and a hard place there, even though Arne was the one dropping Shadow Skull smashing on things. Even if he had done it in combat or just before combat, like, I'm pretty sure Sam would have just stolen it. It's like, there's something in the way. It also activates my Bone Crusher Giants. So, yeah, there was no real way that Arne could win that one.
Yeah, no, that was a tough one. Ever since the block of the Lovestruck Beast there on the Lovestruck Beast, that Embercleave over the top play is really, really tough to come back from.
Yeah, believe in the Cleave.
Exactly.
So game 3. Let's see how fast they can get this one done with. I don't know.
Yeah,
What's the quickest you've ever seen a Gruul match end? Turn 3? Turn 4?
Yeah, I guess about what we just saw there, it's pretty wild. We see the crazy match last round between Sam and David, and then we just get a lightning fast round here. Pretty, completely different, even though the decks are quite similar.
Yeah. Bit of a unlucky hand there from Sam for the first 7 that he drew. Didn't have any green in it. Those pathways being a bit of a hindrance to the mana, but a decent-ish looking 6 he kept.
Yeah, Sam had quite a few mulligans this round. Got to be a little frustrating there to not be able to keep an opening hand, but this one looks definitely functional. A little brutal to have to take so much damage from these Shatter Skull smashing instead of just other lands, for instance, but still a fine draw.
Does find the Cry Crown pathway, so we'll be able to get a land down without smacking himself in the face if he chooses to. Also has Stomp and the Red Cap melee to deal with Magda. And we've seen how important this card is in this deck. It's almost like the engine that just keeps things ticking.
Yeah, when Magda comes down, you almost need to kill it on site as long as it's available to you, especially with a Bone Crusher Giant. A little rougher to use your Red Cap melee on it when Goldspan Dragon could come down, but a perfect stomp target.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to see both players deploying their Lovestruck Beasts. No 1/1s yet to speak of to get things swinging. But there is a second copy of Lovestruck Beast for Arne Huschenbeth. Does also have the Burning Hands, which can take care of these 5/5s rather effectively.
Yeah, so a nice little decision here. You can either Burning Hands plus Heart's Desire get in for 5, or just cast one of the Zika's Chariots to get that going to be a little bit more mana efficient. It's just really if Arne's trying to be a little bit more aggressive or plan for a little bit of a longer game. Yeah, I think I like the Zika's Chariot here.
Yeah, being mana efficient, using all of it up. And next turn can go for a big old swing with the team.
And we got a similar choice here for Sam as well. It is, do we want to get down an Zika's Chariot or Heart's Desire plus Lovestruck Beast, but goes with the powerful car as well. Now, boys. I know we said it's a mirror match, but you're taking it a bit too far here. Exactly, yeah.
Taking a look at their hands, knowing what we know, who do you think is in the lead right now?
I would say by a little bit, Arne Huschenbeth, just because it is his turn, being able to get a little bit aggressive here, and I think that Burning Hands is very powerful here, being able to attack with Zika's Chariot, and then putting Sam in a rough spot where, do you want to block with your Chariot and not get as much value out of it because you didn't get to clone a cat, or block with the 2 cats, and then you cannot, clone a cat because they're gone. So that gets to be a little bit rough, and I think that's the play we're going to see and have Arne get a little bit more aggressive, especially with the Den being drawn. You really get to pressure next turn. Yeah, very strong.
In response to Burning Hands, we'll see Essex's Chariot jump up, try and save this Lovestruck Beast. Get in the car! Oh no, it died. It died on the way through the door. But it will be there to block the opposing Essica's chariot. Unless the cats jump in the way, but, you know, it kind of feels bad when you don't get any value off Essica's chariot.
It really is brutal, and it's a rock and a hard place here for Sam, because you either lose the cats, or you lose the chariot, and then... Or you take 9. And I think all the options are a little rough right now. Sure, the chariot can make copies of your 1/1 human later on and stuff like that, but being able to make 2/2s each turn is a lot more valuable.
Yeah. You know, the Gruul deck typically, you know, historically speaking, it's always been get the biggest creature down on the board and get them smacking, right? But with Essica's chariot in, it's kind of developed this go wide and go tall strategy. So you never really quite know which way you're going to die.
Yeah, it's really impressive. You know, from Gruul in the early stages of these, of how it's evolved with like Brushfire Elemental, now to what it is to this day, it's just become a very dynamic deck that can attack you from so many different angles, with the addition of Chariot, Goldspan Dragon, and Embercleave.
Yeah. Crazy powerful cards coming out of the last few sets.
Speak of the devil, that is a cleave drawn right now. That is insane right now.
We're about to see this game end in a spectacular fashion with this super powerful artifact.
And this Embercleave is so well disguised because last turn would have been a great Embercleave turn. And Sam knows that. So I don't think he's going to block with Embercleave in mind basically at all. And look at that. Doesn't. And that's exactly 12 damage with the Lovestruck Beast.
Oh, you hate to see it, but at the same time, you just love getting Embercleave through without any blocks. To stop this damage, unfortunately, Red Cap Melee is not going to help him, being a 5/5 that only deals 4 damage, and a couple emotes to end the game there, as Arne Huschenbeth takes the victory over Sam Rolph. Wow.
Yeah, that's a really tough spot to try to play around Embercleave, because it made a lot of sense if they had Embercleave. Arne would have played it last turn, so I would have made the blocks as if they didn't have it as well, and, you know, sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles and you get cleaved.
Or, as we like to say, that's the way the Gruul smorks.
Yeah, we say that all the time. Yeah.
All the time, of course, yes. We're going to see plenty more from the Gruul decks, as they are the most registered in Standard. But for now, we're going to take a very short commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more from this round. Don't go anywhere.
Winota deck, which is pretty
All
awesome.
right, you heard absolutely none of that, chat. That was your lip reading test for the day. I hope you all passed. So let's talk about this one more time. Quick rewind. Piotr Wiktorzak versus Tomas Pokorny. It is going to be Naya Winota versus Sultai Control. Corey, what do you think about this match?
I was just gonna say, I said so many great things. I don't know if I can replicate it. That was
now
just
you gotta redo it.
All right, so Naya Winota is the deck that we have been really hyping leading up to this tournament and in the tournament. Even if it is not the most played deck, it is definitely something that influenced everybody's decision. A very powerful new deck that I'm excited to see. And Tomas's decision to play Sultai Control is basically based around Naya Winota because it is pretty much an anti-creature deck. You have a lot of 2-mana ways to deal with it with like 4 Essence Scatter, 4 Heartless Axe. We have 2 Disdainful Strokes, a couple Flunks, Power Word Kill. This just says, I want to make sure if Winota resolves, it's going to die before it triggers, and we'll see if an anti-Winota deck is even possible if the deck is just so strong.
Right, so kill all the things versus make your dead as quick as I can on turn 4.
Exactly. So
that about sums it up?
You summed it up. You nailed it. You've seen this matchup play out before, I can see. It really is going to be, if this becomes a long match, Tomas is heavily favored. If this is a short one, Piotr's taking it down.
Nice. Well, a couple of fun facts that we asked our players before the start of this weekend. And Piotr, his fun fact was he has a little 3-month-old. So he's been testing with his itty-bitty little baby, which is super duper adorable and cute, and I want pictures. And the fun fact, in inverted commas, from Tomas is that he used to play drums in high school until they got stolen. Now, I don't know about you, but fun implies a good thing? Yes?
Yeah.
No? That's a bit of a feels bad. So hopefully if he does make it through, he can maybe buy himself a new drum set.
Yeah, there we go. If he's in the top 4 of this tournament, I think new drums are on the horizon.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I'm just gonna put in an order for him now. I'm sure he won't mind.
Yeah, good plan.
So we're gonna get things underway here with our lovely lands, our mana development, as Tomas is going to be playing a very reactive gameplay or game plan against Piotr, who is going to be doing the exact opposite. Try and get down as many little itty-bitties as possible, avoid all the humans, and find Winota to go boom by turn 4, potentially turn 3 if Tangled Florahedron sticks on the battlefield.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's kind of the squeeze that these control style decks get put in. You can be so prepared for Winota, but then an Azika's Chariot can make your battlefield go wide and crew it when you want to crew it, aka when Tomas does not have a key removal spell available, and then it becomes really tricky. It's very hard to be prepared for both of those 4-drops. And even as we're looking at the hand right now, it's decently prepared for the Zika's Chariot since it can clean up all the tokens, but not that prepared for Winota as it stands. So if Winota were to come down, it'd be trouble next turn.
Yeah, so he's going to be hoping to avoid that from the other side of the battlefield. Selfless Savior being down on turn 1 also causes quite a few problems for dealing with said Winota because it can give indestructible. It doesn't protect against an extinction event or other exile effects, but it is the goodest boy. And there's a reason it's played in this deck.
Yeah, absolutely. When it is your turn and you're playing Winota and you have a Selfless Savior out there, your opponent kind of has to have two answers, right? It has to be a removal spell or just like an Essence Scatter to stop it on the stack. But as it stands, there is no disdainful stroke from Tomas, and this is going to be a nice little start.
Oh, yeah. We got a cat, two cats, a dog, got a kitty car down, little tangled florahedron thing. I don't know, what is that, a fungus?
Yeah.
Oh, looking rather picturesque on the outside of the battlefield there for Piotr. Omen of the Sea, gonna take a look at the top of the library, sees a sword coming. Any consideration to keep this, or is this going to bottom?
It's interesting because as it stands right now, that saw it coming is the only way to stop a Winota from basically just winning the game next turn. We know that there is no Winota, but Tomas does not know that, so we easily might see that being put to the top.
And it's also a bit of an awkward spot to be in because at this point, there's no board wipes available to him. So he either has to have a nope for Winota or a way to kill it on the spot. There is a Murderous Rider, which can take care of a Winota. So either way, I'm pretty sure we're just going to see the turn being passed back here and hope like heck he's got a couple answers for the nonsense that's accumulating.
Exactly, and the big problem here is those two lands on the left are both Triumphs. So being able to timely Extinction Event to clean up both cats and the Tangled Florahedron, it's not going to work next turn unless we top deck something.
So a question for you then. I've seen the Dimir control deck running around quite a bit, but the Sultai control, just splashing green for the Binding the Old Gods. Why do you think that card was that important that it got added to the deck along with all the green men and the Triumphs?
Yeah, it does make it a little interesting why that is the only card that you really want to see. But I guess we do see Polakranos. I think that's another really big one because up against rogues, these style of decks can be really troublesome because you don't really want to just play Glimpse of Freedom as your one escape card. Polakranos is really insane at being able to escape so many cards in that matchup, and it's also fine against these aggro decks. So I think that combination is enough because the Triumphs, the Zagoth Triumphs, as well as the Pathways, kind of makes it a little bit free.
Okay. So currently, the Zagoth Triumphs causing a few gray hairs here for Tomas, as we'll see an attack here with the Kitty Car. Eska's Chariot. It's going to swing in with one of its cats, make another copy. Will we see the Murderous Rider take care of this kitty car?
Yeah, and we saw kind of this crew without any fear plan for a couple of reasons. One, we have another Azeka's Chariot. Can't cast it this turn, but still is available for next turn. And the Selfless Savior being able to protect it is really, really strong. So that Murderous Rider play is just okay, and now we might even just see a Murderous Rider on the Selfless Savior. A little bit awkward since it can just be sacrificed, but Tomas doesn't care that much about casting the Murderous Rider side of it instead of the Swift End.
Lochmere Serpents and Fabled Passage, seen on top here by the Omen of the Sea. Lochmere Serpents, I think the game's going to be long over before that even becomes a factor in the match, so that'll get sent to the bottom of the library. Fabled Passage will be the draw. And we got an Extinction Event for a pretty nice amount of creatures here, Corey. Yeah,
pretty priced in to do it now. And the good news for Tomas here is there's no land 4, so we can't just play Azeka's Chariot again, keep the old one so you can attack with it, and then make another cat unless we get a land. And even if we don't, we can, play some of the other creatures, but even if we can get enough to crew that Azeka's Chariot, there's nothing left to copy at this point. So that was a great draw, getting that untapped land, and you can see why it was so important that Tomas even sacked the Omen instead of just cycle a Triumph, giving himself the max amount of chances to hit land 4.
Yeah, so really heads up sacrifice there of the Omen. It's going to survey this battlefield, and we'll be able to take care of 4 of these creatures with the Extinction Event.
Yeah, and it's a tough spot here. I would assume we still land on the Extinction Event, because if you don't, you are taking such a big hit next turn. You definitely want to line it up so you can just deal with absolutely everything, but Tomas doesn't really have that as an option right now and just has to deal with the 4 for 1, I guess. Not so bad.
It's like 1 mana per thing removed.
Yeah,
that's pretty efficient, right?
Can't complain there.
Ooh. A nice draw here for Piotr. Not finding the 4th land, but you're not going to balk at seeing an elite spellbinder. And Tomas is not happy with that at all.
Yeah, that was a rough one there. No matter what we take, it definitely shuts down a bit of an option. Yeah.
Oh, I felt that for him. Goodness.
Yeah. I do love that Tomas plays with his emotions on his sleeve. You know what Tomas is thinking at any kind of given moment, that's for sure.
Ugh.
I think that was the same look he gave when someone took his drums, actually.
You just gotta rub it in, don't you? This poor guy. Oh man, Elite Spellbinder has some picks to make here. There's a counter spell, there's 2 removal spells. What do you take?
I think the one thing you don't take here is Behold. I think it's really, are you trying to protect the fact that you want to play another Azika's Chariot? So then you would take Saw It Coming. Are you trying to protect your battlefield and just eliminate the best card, which would be Shadow's Verdict? Or are you really trying to stop that instant speed removal to push through, let's say, a Winota? With the hand that Piotr has, I would assume Shadow's Verdict. 7 mana wraths are a lot worse than 4 and 5 mana ones. So that's where I would be leaning here, but a lot of options, and really all of them are defensible.
So using all the time available to him to make this decision, got to think down the line what is going to make the most impact, and Sword Coming is now a 5 mana counterspell.
Interesting.
So even though he's missing the 4th land, he's still able to get in these points of damage. Oh man, that's so unlucky.
Oh,
Finds the Binding the Old Gods, but has no green mana to cast it.
Yeah, really brutal top deck there. Now it's just, do you want to just hold up a Swift End for one of these cards, even though a Selfless Savior can protect it? Maybe play Murderous Rider just as a lifelinking blocker. Really a tough spot here. Or just play the Triome, bite the bullet, Behold, and hope a Wrath next turn is good enough. But then any combination of 4 power would just finish the game off with Azika's Chariot that turn. So really tough spot here for Tomas.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And I think the one thing that's probably hurts even more is that there is a single copy of a forest in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
So had the potential to go and get it out last turn. But
yeah, very true. And the one thing that Tomas is definitely worrying about that we know isn't really a problem is just the fact that Piotr has not played land number 4. So it seems like it could be very easy for Piotr to just have land Winota, right? We know that's not the case, but it's something you have to be thinking about constantly.
Yeah, you always got to think about the worst case scenario, prepare for it, and then when it's not that, be pleasantly surprised.
Exactly.
Another decent draw here. Again, no 4th land, but at this rate, Piotr won't need it. An Elite Spellbinder, so we'll be able to clear the way, as it were, for the rest of the creatures and get rid of the Shadow's Verdict this turn.
Yeah, that might have been the best draw, actually. Just being able to take Shadow's Verdict and make it a 7-drop and then use the Selfless Savior and the new Elite Spellbinder to crew Azika's Chariot, attack for 7. It gets to be a very bad block if Tomas wants to do it, or take 7, go to 1, and that's a lot of trouble as well.
Yeah, you can see he's disappointed with how this game has gone, but he'll just need to brush it off. Still 2 more games to play.
Yep. And we did see Tomas.
Sorry, Gifford.
Oh, yeah. And we did see Tomas, lose the first round that we were casting together. Went on to rally to 2-1, so has been having a relatively good day outside of round 1. And, this game not looking great, but plenty of tournament left to play.
For sure. It does have Murderous Rider down as a life-linking blocker, so would be able to fend off the cat car for a turn. But still taking 6 in the air. That doesn't feel too good.
Yeah, so it's pretty brutal if you want to just block this one and hope to top deck a Shadow's Verdict. I think your outs here are Extinction Event and Shadow's Verdict off the top. So I love this block because that's an odd converted mana cost creature that even if you get Extinction Event, you don't get that essentially 6 life because you get to block and gain the life. But no. Oof.
Yeah, so this isn't looking super hot right now. Binding can take care of a creature. It would just get protected by the Selfless Savior. A new creature down on the board would allow the cat card to be crewed, and that's just going to be tickets, I'd say.
Yep, Binding here can take out Azika's Chariot without Selfless Savior going, but then there's 7 power. You can try to hit Elite Spellbinder, then Selfless Savior saves it, and then any creature that crews the Chariot is GG. So you Binding and hope your opponent doesn't play creatures and crew Chariot, I guess. Yeah, this is looking like this is going to be 1-0, Piotr.
Yeah, for sure. So we're just going through the motions here, Tomas. Might just go for a Behold the Multiverse. For 2 mana, though, I don't know what he could find to get him out of this pickle.
Yeah, I think the best thing you can hope for of your Tomas is just to pass the turn, wait for combat, and hope Piotr takes a very conservative line and doesn't really go for it. But when you have this many creatures, I think Piotr is just going to try to jam.
Yeah.
We'll see.
The one out would be instant speed removal off of the Triome on whatever's... No, because then you just cruise it. That doesn't help.
Yeah, and I think that draw, as long as Piotr goes for it, is excellent. You get Prosperous Innkeeper. You can sack that treasure to play Lotus Cobra, and then tap Cobra, Prosperous Innkeeper, and Selfless Savior to crew Chariot. And then if any removal is aimed at any 3 of those attackers, you just get to save it with Selfless Savior. And that seems pretty tricky. To get around, you would have to have double spot removal when we know that Piotr knows the hand. So it seems pretty much GG if we go for that line.
Yeah. Now Piotr is just making sure, okay, what could you possibly, potentially, plausibly have that doesn't allow me to win on this turn?
Yep, Lotus Cobra, Selfless Savior as well is kind of the same thing. Just getting 3 power is the main thing.
Ugh. Get out of here. All right, 2 unknown cards. Let's see. Heartless Act. Okay. That's decent.
And we see that Lockmere Serpent as a way to close the game. These Sultai decks usually did not have any problem closing the game because they were ultimatum decks. Yeah. But when you go away from that, saying that ultimatum is not that great right now, which it isn't, you really need to still have a way to close out the game, and Lockmere Serpent ends up being the best possible one, mostly because you get to react on your opponent's turn. So you can choose between either, let's say, killing a Winota, killing a creature that gets Ember Cleaved, or if they don't go for something like that, drop the huge Serpent.
Oh boy. So there is another Selfless Savior. That's going to hit the battlefield. Tomas is having none of it. He's going to scoop him on up and go to game number 2 here. So let's talk sideboards. What do you think we'll see from Tomas's side, knowing that he's up against Naya Winota?
From Tomas's side, it's pretty clear by the main deck that this is a matchup that he was really trying to be prepared for. A lot of the spot removal is already in the main. I see 1 flunk. I see maybe 1 more binding that you can bring in. Otherwise, this is pretty much just going to be a click back scenario. You really just, you have all the tools within the Sultai parameters that you can have to deal with this deck. Sometimes, though, it's just not enough. 1-for-1 spot removal is very good against just a Winota deck, but when you pair Azika's Chariot with it, it's really tough to go 1-for-1 with that card. So a little bit of a tough spot there.
So we see the sideboarding decisions. Lockmere Serpent, not fast enough, or not for this matchup. It's going to get sent away. Bringing in more Shark Typhoons, some Cling to Dust for life gain and card draw, the other binding, like you mentioned, more flunks. And on the other side of things, Piotr is bringing in a couple more creatures, a couple of Planeswalkers to taking out the all of the Despair Sentinels.
Yep, it looks like from Tomas's side, his sideboarding is mostly motivated by trying to get out Tome and Behold. These are pretty bad cards. And Chainweb is actually pretty decent against these elite spellbinders. Cling also can just gain some life in a tough spot as well as just cycles on 1. So not bad at all.
It's the players taking a look at their hands. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah,
I like Piotr's hand a lot.
Yep, this is the pretty powerful draw of being able to go Prosperous Innkeeper into Winota on turn 3 and get 1 trigger. We know that Tomas's deck is just full of removal and counter spells and other permission spells, so pretty unlikely to happen, but this deck can produce that really powerful draw. And if you can pair it with, let's say, a Selfless Savior or a Despair Sentinel, then it's just absurd.
Yeah. And it is nutty.
Yes.
Prosperous Innkeeper, the draw there for Piotr. And Tomas has a couple of removal spells as well as the sword coming. And plenty lands to work with for the start of game number 2.
Interesting there to not see a foretell. Pretty unlikely that Flunk is going to be able to really hit too much. I guess you're able to kill like a Selfless Savior right away, just valuing that. But pretty unlikely, just because you have one piece of instant speed removal. You usually want to save that for the big spell like Winota.
Yeah. And it's also a little awkward early, because its removal power, as it were, is based off of the hand size. So
exactly,
if your opponent's got a full clutch of cards, you're not going to be killing too much pretty early.
Yep. But a nice removal spell, as it does sidestep Selfless Savior. So just being able to give it negatives instead of destroying it, it completely takes that card out of the equation. So a really powerful card against Winota. That's even why we saw last round with Arne Huschenbeth splashing black just for
Ray of Enfeeblement.
Ray of Enfeeblement, just to deal with Winota. That's how much respect this deck is getting. Even if it's not the number 1 deck, it really has warped Standard in a lot more ways than it just being the best deck.
Now the Ranger class is the draw here for Piotr. Does have all of his lands and all of his colors available to him. Also has these Prosperous Innkeepers. Like we've seen, just be super powerful, being able to generate that treasure, cheat out, well, not cheat out, but accelerate towards the 4-mana spells, as Ranger class is going to threaten some beatdowns here too. Is this enough to get sword coming out of hand here for Tomas?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Saw it coming is definitely, you want to save that for Azika's Chariot, looking at this hand, but Ranger class not only allows your creatures to get pretty gigantic pretty quickly with level 2, but level 3 against these control decks that give you that much time can really take over a game. Just playing the top of your deck over and over and over, kind of the Vivian effect that we've seen before, really is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's always great to have another place to play cards from, and Tomas decides, cool, that's enough for me to counter, but fiddlesticks, you have a whole other one to come down, so womp womp.
Yep, an impressive card there.
Power Word Kill, also very good. Another addition from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms.
Exactly, slightly awkward against specifically Goldspan Dragon. That is one of the very powerful dragons in the format. But outside of that, pretty much kills everything outside of, well, yeah, Faithless Haven.
It's quite a suitable replacement, I'd say, for Heartless Act once that rotates out. So.
Exactly, and we even see some decks like Luis's Rogue deck that he's been showing some praise, that even I made the day 2 of the Arena Open with, going with a split between the Power Word Kill and Heartless Act. Oh, I got crushed by Winota day 2 though, so it was nothing too impressive.
I got murdered by Winota and then the Izzet Control deck. That's why I was like, oh yeah, that deck is gonna do things.
Yes. I guess it beat Rogues earlier today, so that was a smart pick, picking the Izzet Control deck. You nailed it. You already knew. You already tested the matchup.
I knew. I have the power.
You're too good.
So a very disciplined attack here from Piotr, not running out the Shadow Skull Smashing, not putting Winota in harm's way. There's open mana. It's a blue deck. It's a black deck. Things are going to die recountered, so I'm just going to smack you. How's that?
And here's the one problem that I have with these style of control decks in Standard, is you get put in so many awkward spots where you're like, okay, if I kill one of these creatures and they go with Chariot, I'm probably going to lose, because that is very, very good. But if I don't kill these creatures and they still go for Chariot, thinking I don't have a counter spell, well, I still might lose. So it becomes a really tough squeeze where you have to have the perfect cards at the perfect times. And it's just a big ask in Standard when cards are so good.
I love this attack first, ask questions later approach from Piotr.
Exactly. Usually not the best when you're planning on playing Winota, but you usually want to play that then attack, but definitely not in this situation. I love the no play of Winota.
The Winota.
Exactly. And a great play by Piotr, just recognizing, okay, I could jam out Winota right now, but it's pretty likely that it's just going to die. So now we're going to see Tomas kill one of these creatures, and that's going to show that the door is open for the chariot, and it's going to be excellent here. And Tomas is just saying, anything but chariot, anything but chariot.
Please no chariot, please no chariot. Oh, darn it.
Yep, there's the head roll. It is definitely the best play right here, and very scary for Tomas.
And Winota is a spoopy deck. Even when these decks that are so tuned to beat it are having a hard time, just shows you that it's such a powerful list.
Yeah, it was impressive. I looked at the stats that we saw for last week on Arena, and it showed that it just didn't have any bad matchups, which, maybe that's not the case now when these players are focused on this deck. Yeah, it had a favorable matchup against every matchup but the mirror, and that's showing the dominance and shows how scary a deck can be if it is, doing that well.
It's kind of funny how, a couple of cards here and there just revitalize an archetype. Because Winota in general just kind of fell out of favor. And then all of a sudden, you've got Prosperous Innkeeper out here, and he's like, oh, hey, look, I make mana, and I'm also a halfling, so I'm going to get you more humans.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, we saw Winota absolutely dominate for a while when it was, finding things like Agent of Treachery, if anybody remembers the good old times. But now, Prosperous Innkeeper and Ranger's Class have really kind of thrown this deck over the edge.
Speak of the devil, here comes Winota. Joiner of Forces, unfortunately, is going to meet a rather swift end. Not the actual swift end, but it's going to get disdainfully stroked out of here.
And Disdainful Stroke is like the best card next to Essence Scatter does the same as well, because even if you get Winota to resolve and then you kill it, well, that Winota gets to crew Azeka's Chariot as well. So it's that kind of pinch where you dealt with the most important thing, but now you're just going to take 9 damage, and at least Disdainful Stroke soaks up 4 extra damage.
Yeah.
That was a good draw.
Azeka's Chariot getting in for a couple damage and creating another kitty cat. Tomas needs stuff and things rather quickly because his life total is going to dwindle at a rapid rate with the increase in cat population on the other side of the board.
Tomas made a nice disciplined play last turn of buying Yorion and only having 1 piece of removal, and it's probably going to pay off here where you can go land 6, binding something, then either flunk or power word kill, and then next turn maybe we draw an extra land where we can go Yorion plus the other piece of removal. But either way, Yorion to be able to blink binding the old gods is really the reason to play both green for binding and Yorion. And add 20 cards to be able to play Yorion.
Yeah. So Binding the Old Gods will come down and take care of Azeka's Chariot. Can kill basically anything on the board. Let's just see what the pick is here for Tomas. You gotta think it's Cat Car. It's gotta be. And power kill flunk, like you mentioned. Oh, look at him! Look at him! You know that was a lucky top deck, but sir, you're going to have your heart broken. As powered kill and flunk are ready and waiting.
Yep.
Look at Tomas. I love face cams.
Me too. It adds so much. And right here, Piotr was just thinking, okay, I could try to go for something else, right? I could just go to level 2 of Ranger Class. I could play Prosperous Innkeeper and hold it back for later. But right now, Piotr's just recognizing 7 damage to be able to attack for is good enough of pressure. And of course, if you don't have the removal spell, the game ends. Unless you get very unlucky.
Oh boy, powered kill is going to take care of Winota. So no ridiculous triggers just yet, but still 7 damage coming in.
Yeah, 7 damage coming in with a level up on Ranger Class. We can put Tomas down to 1 already, but that's a nice draw. Being able to play Winota with flunk available, that's a huge swing.
Man, hang on now. You're putting Winota on the wrong team. This is Yorion Sky Noodle. How dare you besmirch his name?
I know, my beautiful bird serpent.
Yes. That'll come back. That'll take care of Ranger Class. So no counters, no digging off the top of the library. Oh, man.
Ooh, that was a good draw. That was a good draw.
Oh, goodness me. I think Piotr made the correct sacrifices to the correct magic gods this morning because he is just drawing gas.
No kidding. Whenever you just hit 4 mana and you draw your 4 drops in this deck, you should play this Winota deck. That is a very valuable skill. And now it's interesting because on surface value, Tomas can control this battlefield with Yorion, right? Take 5, then take 3. But with the knowledge that we know of the Chariot coming down as well, you almost have to flunk one of these tokens to just, not die next turn? Yeah, you block, you take 5, and then you add 2 more cats.
That's ouchies. He needs to get lucky and top deck a Shadow's Verdict or something, because this board's getting out of hand.
Shadow's Verdict and Extinction Event are definitely going to be the best draws. And then if you know that's on the top, of course you want to just keep flunk in your hand to be able to deal with a future Winota. But if it's not there and it's only like another spot removal spell on top, you got to just minimize these damage so you can survive to see another top deck.
Yep.
Brutal
if
stuff.
Only I could survive to see another top deck. Perhaps I could win this match. And you can see he's just like praying now. Please, please give me something to deal with these creatures. Spot removal ain't gonna do it. And Shadow's Verdict off the top of the library. Yes, please.
One good draw deserves another, I suppose. Shadow's Verdict is excellent here. The one problem is Tomas really can't attack. Can't really get aggressive. Being at 24 life, that is just too far away. Now you can Shadow's Verdict and control Azeka's Chariot for another turn. But yeah, that was still a great draw.
You sit, you wait. You top deck like a crazy person. Oh my goodness me. All right, goodbye kitty cats, goodbye innkeeper. Cat car, still a problem, can still be crewed, but can't get through Yorion because Yorion's got a big booty.
Very, very true. A land off the top would be excellent. Oh my.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, that's oh boy.
And that's interesting. You know, we could have just went Winota attack with Azeka's Chariot and hope to get something, but if you brick, it's awful.
Yeah, and then you just lose your cat car for no reason. Oh, and then he finds a Heartless Act. Oh, we got a game, friends.
Yeah, no kidding. And we're going to see Winota be played before Ox, because otherwise, you straight lose it. So, so we're going to see that. Tomas is probably not going to be too thrilled, but we did draw the answer.
Right, so Winota, problem number 1. Let's deal with that.
Yep. And that will... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, if Chariot attacks, it dies. So there'll probably be no attack here from Azeka's Chariot. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say as well, is that will probably stop the attack, not taking one. Oh, no. The nice... Didn't sit
Be quiet,
well.
you.
Ooh,
okay, that's a pretty good draw. Nice. Okay, so Omen of the Sea gets to dig. Could do the fancy scry before it's if it draws.
Definitely could. That kind of takes away from let's say Lockmere Serpent or something as one of your big draws.
Oh, those come out. Those came out though.
Yeah, there's still one left in. We took out 2 of them. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. This deck plays 3, which I thought was, pretty wild, but it is just such a powerful card. And look at this battlefield right now. Like, Tomas did an excellent job of timing his spells out to control this battlefield, but now where do you go, right? Like, you have to find a way to close the game, and Lockmere Serpent really is the way when you don't have something like Ultimatum. Other Ultimatum decks, you're just waiting for that card, and then you kind of close it out. But here, you have to work a little harder for your wins.
I'm just loving these top decks from Piotr. It's ridiculous. So he's going to get a couple more cats here. He's going to get another Azeka's Chariot. That'll go to the bin. And next turn, most likely to see an Ox of Agonis unless he keeps top decking like a crazy person and finds something else to play.
Yeah, and as this stands with the Ox next turn, it is only 5 damage coming through. So we're not in absolutely need to top deck a way out of this. But once again, we're getting close to, really wanting another Extinction Event, another Shadow's Verdict.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Popo. The Lucarnos and Cling to Dust are both very, very good.
Both great here. I would really love to see keeping that on top, because regardless, Cling can just kind of cycle, and just exile anything from a graveyard and just draw another card. But it's open deckless, so we know there's Oxes around that'll eventually hit the yard. So having that as an option would be excellent.
Yeah, you definitely want to keep Pokorny around. Has
That's a
the mana to has the mana to cast it, smack a couple of things. And then he's probably got enough things in the bin right now to escape it later. But yeah, certainly Pokorny on top of the library. Let's get you down and helping out your fellow Sky Serpent.
Yeah, top is not what you want to see on turn 15 or whatever. That's a scary sight. And it looks like we just have the perfect amount here to be able to double fight with Pokorny. So
yeah. 10 mana, going to be careful with the taps, as Pokorny only cares about Golgari.
This is another way to kind of force through damage from the Sultai control deck when you do not have Lochmere Serpent. It's not just keep killing stuff with Pokorny and then just make it a 12-12 and attack a couple of times and kind of lock it out that way. Ooh.
I am amazed that Piotr has not drawn a land in the last 6 turns.
Yeah, normally that's a really good thing. But when you have one of your few 5-drops, we kind of do want to draw lands from Piotr. But we have been just drawing Azeka's Chariots and Winotas, which is what you want to do late in the game with this deck.
All right, so if Bone Crusher Giant goes face down to 4, can cost Bone Crusher Giant, can crew it, would lose something to the Pokorny, so it's not lethal yet, right?
Yeah, it doesn't even squeak through any damage, actually. You can block Yorin to Azeka's Chariot with that line, Pokorny to a cat, and then fight the other 2 attackers. So that would be a nightmare scenario for Piotr. We'll see if it's even worth it to do anything with that Bone Crusher Giant, or just get Ox down and try to find some other cards, respin it.
Personally, I'm always a fan of Bone Crusher to face, but that's just me.
Yeah, I would think so. If you are playing like, Gruul or any of these decks that have to crawl over the finish line. But I'm pretty sure we don't even have that many Bone Crusher Giants in the list. So it's not like we can really string them together. So that's a really tough choice.
Oh. So Pokorny is going to do his due diligence here, smack some cats, much to my dismay and heartbreak. And Cling to Dust will be drawn off the top of the library. So, like we mentioned, a great way to draw some cards and to gain some life. And will this be the point where Tomas is feeling pretty comfy and will start swinging? Just under 9 minutes left on his clock, so has quite the life total to deal with on the other side so far.
Yeah, and that does get scary when you have to win 2 games still with a very slow deck. We saw even just what a grind it was with the Gruul versus Naya Winota. These games are long in Standard, and they get even longer with a control deck.
I think he's going to fight his own Yorion.
Ooh, yes, that would be a nice little play. Or just get a little value and fight that.
Yeah, well, it could blank the Bone Crusher Giant. One less creatures to deal with.
But depending on how many cards we have in graveyard, Tomas might want to just escape it, and that line would be taken away.
This is the end step.
Oh, this is just end step. Okay, yeah.
So
all right.
Can't get it out this turn. I just hit your bird. Come on. Take out that anger and frustration on Yorion.
Yeah, otherwise you can just cling twice here. I like that line as well. That looks nice.
I love it. It's Bone Crusher removal.
So mean to Yorion.
It's okay. He can deal with it. Hey, a land. It's a land that hurts, but it's a land. All right. Yeah, let's Ox.
Definitely seems like the play now.
Yeah. Let's smack ourselves, get some Ox going, and Cling to Dust will be there to pick up the other one. Ooh. Okay, let's draw a card. Doesn't have enough mana to escape it now. But it doesn't really matter at this point. Can get it on the next turn around. Innkeeper. Yep. Ooh, Kenny.
Kenrith, Redain, Prosperous Innkeeper. Nice pickups there. And we saw the Cling be cast first to try to just get a counterspell. Yeah. You may think, well, maybe Tomas should have waited a little bit there, but I think that is a nice one at just seeing if you hit Essence Scatter, seeing if you hit Disdainful Stroke.
Yeah, and he can also kill it here if he thinks it's a threat. I don't think it's worthwhile at the moment to do so. Yorion's still there, still got a big booty. But Kenny is a bit of a problem.
Yeah, that's a good one. Really, all those draws were pretty solid. Winota is probably the one you want the most, but still, picking up 3 cards that are not land here is very good and definitely puts you a little bit more in the driver's seat.
Hey, Corey.
Yeah.
What's it called when Kenrith activates his haste ability with a bunch of other creatures?
I feel like this is a riddle. I don't know. What is it?
Kenny and the Jets.
Kenny and the Jets. Yes.
I'll see myself
I love that. I love that.
Heartless Act is going to take care of the Ox of Agonis. It's going to join the graveyard along with the other copy of it. Just to keep those creatures off the board. Esseka's Chariot still just hanging out. An island off the top, not what you want to see. And chat was pointing out that Tomas needs to play a little bit quicker, and I'm going to agree with them. I don't very often, but this is one of those rare occasions where I do. If he does win this, he's going to have to hustle to win game number 3.
Yeah, it's a big difference between a Gruul deck like David Ingles having only 5 minutes left for game 3 because, well, you know what, you can cast the card Embercleave and it gets done pretty quickly. But this deck, there's just no winning on any turn before turn 10, basically at all. You know, it's really tough to do. So I would have to agree. Looks like 5 minutes and 18 seconds here.
All right, let's make some decisions here, Tomas. You have 2 things to do. Cling to Dusk and take care of the Ox of Agoni, or Oxen of Agonis. I could just call them that.
Yeah, you can't take care of both of them though, so it's almost irrelevant. You know, taking care of one of them really doesn't do much.
Well,
and we see,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because I mean, and we see Pokorny's highlighted as well. And you know, would you rather have a 12/12 or try to deal with one of the Oxes? It looks like we have 12 cards in graveyard. So yeah, you really do have to make a decent choice. You can cling both Ox, or you can get a Pokorny down. I kind of favor the 12/12 here. Yeah. You got to win the game, especially with your clock.
Yeah, get the biggest thing down and start smacking.
Yep.
This is basically what you got to do here.
Oof. Yeah, I like this. I like this. You got to get aggressive here.
Time to get shovey. Get that Popo on the board, sir.
Especially when 3 cards were just drawn, it's pretty likely that Piotr wants to take next turn off to cast the cards in your hand and then Ox the turn after. So I like getting Pokorny down and then thinking about Cling a little later. Of course, you're not going to have that many cards. But yeah, let's see. We're going to go down to 6. So we will still have one of the Clings available next turn or even this turn if we choose to not fight something.
Yeah, getting Pokorny out, especially when there's a threat of a hasty boy in good old King Kenny, as well as the stomps, which we've seen one whiff miserably a little earlier on.
Yeah, not a lot of stomping was done with that last one, but even just the Chariot being around is kind of a pseudo haste creature as well at all times. So really something you have to be wary of. Just your opponent can attack you, even though they don't have creatures on the battlefield here with Kenrith and crewing the Azeka's Chariot.
Yeah, just one card short of being able to cling to dust something as well, so we'll only have the fight available to him. What does Piotr do here? He's got a lot more time to work with, so he's quite okay in terms of taking his time.
Yeah, this is an interesting turn here. You can go something like Prosperous Innkeeper plus one of your 3-drops and then Ox. That's an option, but then you lose both your treasures. You can just go double 3-drop here. Get Redain and Elite Spellbinder down. You know, those can just be fought pretty easily against Pokorny as well, but at least it removes some counters and opens up the door to Ox on a future turn. So I think I like that.
2 flyers down here. The more creatures, the merrier for Piotr, as Tomas can only deal with a couple of them at best each turn.
Wow. Just going to remove 4 counters from Pokorny here effectively. And I wonder if Piotr is just trying to go to the line of slow Tomas down to the point where, you know, he can't win based on the clock. The clock is definitely face up for both players.
That's true. 4 minutes, 20 seconds left to go. As 10 damage comes across the line there. Down to 10 goes Piotr, and he's not finding the best draws off the top here. Does have Cling, doesn't have it active right now, so perhaps we'll see a Field of Ruin just to get another card in the graveyard, should the need arise.
Yep, Field and Cling are pretty decent. or just fighting a couple things with Pokorny. This game is definitely looking in favor of Tomas, but the match looking in favor of Tomas is definitely questionable because of the clock. That is a huge factor.
Oh yeah. Prosperous Innkeeper joins the battlefield. The 2 Ox in the graveyard can come out if they want to. King Kenny not going to hit the battlefield just yet. Prosperous Innkeeper number 2 is just going to pad the life total even more. That's just going to slow Tomas down even further.
I like that, and I think I like just Oxing here. Kenrith, of course, is excellent in the deck, but most of the time you don't want to have to pay mana for it. You just want it coming into play for free with Winota.
So let's see what Piotr does next. He knows about the Cling to Dust. That's information available to him. He's going to fire off the Ox of Agonis. Now, Tomas can get the other Cling to Dust, or can get Cling to Dust out to exile that one on the stack, but decides not to. And a whole new
Wow.
I found the lands. Hey, Corey, we found the lands.
We do have lands, and it looks like that other Ox is not highlighted, so it doesn't look like we can escape that one as well. Otherwise, you know what? Piotr probably would have, because that hand is not great.
Oh yeah, no, that hand is kind of garbo, if you're honest.
Yeah, really is. We'll see if that Field of Ruin gets fired off now. Will we have the mana to get an extra card? But of course, this does fuel Piotr's Ox as well as fuel your own Cling.
Okay, Essence Scatter's not the worst find. But still, this here 1/1 is not the 12/12 it could be.
Yeah, and I think I would have liked to see that Field of Ruin activate, because that would put card number 6 into your graveyard, so you could look at some line of having Pokorny die and then reset it.
Yeah.
But what goes for a little bit more conservative line of being able to block and bring it back, or trade with Yorion here.
Yeah, looks like we're going to go for the trade on Yorion.
And we're down to 2 minutes and 30 seconds here, y'all. It's starting to become just a very grim reality that who knows if it's even possible to finish, let alone this game or next game, with that amount of clock.
I don't think it's going to happen for Tomas, unfortunately, in this match. Ox of Agonis is going to give another refuel here for Piotr. There's an Essence Scatter. Don't think he's got any other cards left in the bin, so that Ox is just gonna hang out.
And now nothing really to fight with the Pokorny, so right now it's just going to stay a 1/1 getting in there. So Piotr might want to just take the strategy of never play another creature, just so it can't ever get upgraded again.
On Naya. Exactly. I mean, that's not the worst, but you hate winning like that. Like, it's the worst feeling when your opponent loses to the clock, but, you know, time management is a factor in this, and Pokorny is going to do his best.
Yep, Piotr even saw it.
Piotr, he knows. He knows. Uh-oh.
Because you can get one shot from this Pokorny if you have another way to kill a creature. And you can even get one shot by killing this creature and then countering the other one. So this should be GG in favor of Tomas. A rough GG.
Yeah. He doesn't have the time, though, to win game 3, unless by some miracle he pulls it off. But let's see. Here comes Khadgar. Khadgar is going to get countered, and Pokorny is going to cross the line here for Tomas Pokorny in game number 2. But he only has 1 minute and 39 seconds left. Piotr knows he made a slight misstep there. And Tomas, you got to get your head in the game here, buddy. You have a game to win as quick as you possibly can.
Yep, and needless to say, the Pokorny are going to be staying in, because that is about the only way we can consider a victory here. We're going to see weird kind of stuff, probably, like we're going to bring in every creature that can attack. Shark Typhoon to be able to get in there, you know, taking out Wrath effects, because you just don't have time to Wrath and then go into it again. You know, I bet these Lockmere Serpents are going to come back in. It's going to be things we would not normally see in this matchup on a normal game.
Yeah, he's going to have to go and fast forward here. Get as many creatures in as possible and just try and get this game won. Before we jump into game number 3, friends, we're going to take a very short break, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Challenger Gauntlet. It is Piotr Wiktorzak versus Tomas Pokorny. Naya Winota versus Sultai Control. Both players are at 1 apiece, but the clock is not on Tomas's side as we take a look at the sideboarding decisions here. Bringing in the Negate, the Binding the Old Gods, Chainweb Arachneer, another Flunk, and the Shark Typhoon. Getting out all that nonsense that takes far too long to do anything with, and gonna try and go as quick as humanly possible here, Corey.
Yeah, I really thought the only clock we were going to see... I'll see myself out. Thank you very much.
That was a top class pun there. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Almost as bad as mine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get underway here, friends. Blink and you'll miss it magic coming right up. 1 minute 35 seconds for Tomas Pokorny. Has a hand that does things, has a Shark Typhoon to cycle, and he's gonna have to like play on instinct at this point. He can't really agonize over any decisions. He's gotta go.
I bet we're going to see a play that really doesn't happen in this deck very often, and that's the turn 3 Murderous Rider.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 10-turn clock. Let's go.
Ooh. Oh, man. I wanted to see a Lotus Cobra there, but unfortunately no snack for us, as it's going to be Ranger Class and the Wolf down. Winota will have to wait for turn 4 to come out. That's not the worst thing.
Yeah, not too bad. And overall, just a great hand from Piotr anyways. This would be a pretty tough game for Tomas, even without the clock having an impact.
Yeah. No 4th land just yet. Fatal Passage will be cracked to go and find that Plains. This little pupper is going to do its best to get things won and done here for Piotr. Who I'm sure would love to win, you know, by good old combat damage.
Yes.
Granith Magistrate. Gonna prevent some of the nonsense that these adventure creatures enjoy, as well as the graveyard ones.
Yep, getting that creature out here as soon as possible. And wow, that is a pretty awful draw here. Maybe I take that back. Piotr was looking really good if we would see land number 4 here.
It's not what you want to see, but it's getting in for damage. That's what he needs to do. And that wolf will be taken care of by Flunk. 48 seconds to go. Elite Spellbinder is going to take a look in the hand here, but Essence Scatter is going to say, no, thank you very much. That's my information. No touchy. And yeah, 9-turn clock. Go. Go, Murder Boy. You can do it.
Yeah, we might just cycle a 3/3 Shark here right away to try to get land. Then maybe if you get land and Shark Typhoon again, you just get to make a bigger one.
Yep, not finding a land, though, for Piotr, so he's not doing all too much. Just has to pass the turn back. Could, plus the Ranger class decides not to, though. He just wants to get this game over and done with. Passes the turn straight back. There's a 3/3/5 power on the board now. And Palukra knows, hey, buddy, okay.
See,
all right.
burning hands in the matchup is crazy, but it's definitely just a factor of trying to not die to this, and it's going to be excellent. Burning hands is going to be sweet here.
Kill him. Man, if that had survived, that would have been the game. He would have done it. He would have done the impossible. But here comes Lead Spellbinder. Is going to take a look in hand. Powered kill will smack it down. Pass the turn back. Pass through those phases as quick as you can. Let's go. You got 16 seconds to pull this out, sir. Can you do it?
This is insane. Yeah, you were 100% right. If there was no burning hands there, you would have been able to kill this creature and attack for exactly 11.
That would have been lethal. 9 seconds. Let's go. Down to 6. He needs another threat on the board. Life game nonsense happening. Essence Scatter is going to swing in here. He's got 1 second left. It's not going to be enough. Power kill the creature, but that is going to be it. Tomas Pokorny needed 10 more seconds at least, and he would have gotten the victory there, most likely. But an unfortunate loss